Welcome back, I'm Tedward. Welcome to Road America at the Mama Spring Rally. That's the Midwest Automotive Media Association. And welcome to the all-new 2023 Genesis G80 Electric. This is the all-wheel drive 365 horsepower EV version of the G80. So no V6, no turbocharged four-cylinder here. This is an EV luxury sedan. And if you don't want to spend the insane amounts of money that it would cost to buy a Model S or a Lucid at that point, this is about 80 G's. So it's not cheap, but it tucks you in pretty low. And in comparison to, say, a Model S, this feels a lot more like a normal car, and inside it's very familiar in terms of what you're getting for creature comforts. It has a 282-mile range, and it'll charge from 10% to 80% in about 22 minutes on a DC fast charger. So that makes this pretty darn practical, and the chances are that you are going to be charging this at home, and in your normal daily driving, 282 miles will do you just fine. So let's take a look around. Now, one thing that is noticeable when you get in this car is the seating position does feel a little high. Now, I'm not tall enough for that to impact my headroom, but I just know that I feel like my butt is too high, and that is because in comparison to the standard gas-powered cars, this has to make some room for battery packs. So I think it does raise that floor up just a little bit. Pardon my helmet, we are not taking this on track today, but you've got such a beautiful rear passenger space. These are genuinely comfortable seats. There's great leather, great wood, brushed aluminum. So I gotta say, just from a creature comfort standpoint, I am quite impressed. Enough legroom. I wish my feet could get under there a little bit more, but that's not a huge problem. HVAC controls, all the goodies. Let's take a look in the trunk. Chances are, if you're driving this, you are golfing. And I do believe there is also some trunk space sacrifice for the EV model. So make sure that if you're getting this, that you are good to go with the things that you need to bring. Under here, let's take a look. What do we got under the cargo net? Let's see if we can pull this off, because I always like to see, oh man, this is going to be frustrating. Let's take a look under here. So we've got a little bit of space, and I guess somebody's Pellegrino, but a couple tools for towing, nothing crazy. But let's get it out on the road. Under the hood, there's no engine, so I actually genuinely don't know what I'm about to see under here. We're learning together, guys. Let's see if I can find this one-handed. There we go. Wow, very cool. They've made this EV drivetrain look very similar to an internal combustion engine. Obviously, everything under this cover has no pistons, but this is pretty cool and reasonably accessible if it needs work done. That's all right. Now, the sacrifice of this, unfortunately, is the fact that you're not getting a frunk. So you're sacrificing some storage space out front because of the layout of this powertrain. But I think she looks pretty darn classy. So let's get out there and take it for a drive. To start this EV, our foot is on the brake. We've got an EV start-stop right here. Jumps to life. Lovely gauges, pretty simple, good layout. Now, the thing that Genesis does really nicely is that listen to how smoothly this window goes up and down, and it slows down right there. It just, there's little things they do. Even the engagement of these blinker stocks are great. And then you get the cameras on the corners, so that way not only do I have my mirror looking over my shoulder, but I can also see what's going on there. That's pretty great. To put it in drive, we just rotate this, and it's so wonderful. Everything feels really good. They figured out how to make everything feel ultra premium in these Hyundais and Genesis branded cars. Here's more. Okay. So let's start off in comfort mode. the first thing I noticed is they didn't just make some really light steering rack. You can actually feel the weight of the car, which is kind of nice. Regen braking down the hill, very helpful. Let's put it in sport mode and see how she gets off the line. Super smooth. You can definitely feel the weight in the car. .365 horsepower going a pretty long way. It does feel quick. It's not rapidly outrageous and scary like a Tesla or anything like that, but it's plenty. This is more than most normal cars have, so you'll be just fine in this. Now, you do notice the weight in a couple ways. First way is just in the sense that it does feel a little heavy. The second is that you can tell that the spring rates are kind of compensating for that weight, so it is a little bit stiff, and it's not horribly stiff. It's just noticeable that it's clearly not the normal Genesis vibe to have that kind of rigidity in the suspension. I love that camera. I think that's great. I know that's been done in other cars in the past, but I do just find that to be really good. Yeah, that's where you start to feel the weight, kind of in that corner entry. What are you whining about? Doesn't like my line, I guess. That's okay. We stay between the mustard and the mayo. I don't think that very many people are going to be taking these on, you know, crazy canyon drives, but I do think that it is important that cars handle well. I think it's a critical thing for safety that cars handle. If a car doesn't handle, you can't avoid bad situations. Oh, it's mad at me because of the tonale. Interesting. That's pretty far away to be concerned about that. Something I love about Genesis is the steering wheel. I love cruising on a highway with this right here. That's the stuff. Everything's a 3-spoke now. You can't do that very often. I mean, yes, you should be at, 9 and 3, 10 and 2, depending on what you're driving. But when you're just cruising, this is a nice place to be. The one pedal driving is feeling really nice. It's just giving me that beautiful regen, and I can change how much it regens with these paddles. Let's get one little launch right here. Sport mode, we're just gonna mat it. There's 60. Interior cabin noise, pretty low, pretty luxurious. I mean, there are some cheap materials like this, but mostly everything you're touching is like leather, wood, aluminum. Really nice. Everything you're interacting with feels fantastic. It's such a bizarre thing how far this brand has come in such a short amount of time, and how they have their finger on the pulse of what their consumers want, like the second they get in the car. I think the way that Hyundai and Genesis sells cars is by making sure that like steering wheels are properly leather wrapped. They've got nice blinker stocks. They've got things that you interact with that feel really premium. And I think that's how they're, selling Elantras. People get in that car in the showroom and it feels beautiful. So Genesis, of course, doing similar things. And for the money, Genesis is always so attractive because a lot of their clientele are people who would otherwise be spending well over $100,000 on their luxury vehicle. So, things I would change. I think due to the weight, it's tough to make this, judgment call, but I do think it's just sprung a little bit stiff, not crazy. The seating position is a bit high, and I think, again, that's limited probably based on batteries or whatever, but I'd like this to go just a touch lower. That would be a lot more comfortable for me. I don't need to be like race car Porsche or anything. I just need like another half an inch to an inch below that. I'm not getting run over by a train in this car. Traction control does a reasonable job, but I have noticed that it is not perfect. It will chirp a wheel, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But, a lot of electrics have gotten so outrageously good at controlling wheel speed that that's just like not even a possibility. But as a driver, it's pretty smooth. Like, this is a nice place to be. The seat might be a little firm for me, honestly, but that's all right. It's supportive. Despite the fact that this is a touch screen, and that, kind of irks me a touch, I still have some physical controls. I can turn it off, I can hit auto, so the things that are touch screen are very forgivable. And I don't have to go through 2 menus to find my cooled seats. It's just right there. Everything's there, unlike, let's say, Lexus, where sometimes in an LC500 you want to go for a cooled seat. Well, good luck. You're going to be staring at that screen for a while before you get to the menu you need. There are hotkeys for other things. It's just a nice car, and I think it's kind of cool that Genesis has an EV option for a luxury sedan. This is good. These cooled seats are blasting. This is the real deal. There's a lot of air coming through these. This is fantastic. Sometimes you turn on a cooled seat and it barely does anything, and you feel like, well, what are we doing here? But this is no joke. You're not wondering if it's on. So that's my quick and dirty first impressions on the Genesis G80 Electric. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and hopefully we'll get to spend a little more time with this car in the future to get some more robust driving impressions. But at a glance, I think it does what it set out to do. There are some compromises, especially when you're on a platform that seemingly was probably built originally for an internal combustion engine. So, shoving some batteries and an electric powertrain in there, you're looking for space, and sometimes that space encroaches on the passengers or trunk space, things like that. So that'll do it. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. Now let's take a look in the trunk, because chances are if you're driving this, how the f do you open that?